to the Village Bakers Bake Along with Alternative Manchester Pride Festival. I'm Laura and this is Kevin.
Hi, and we're from the Village Bakers. We've also got a fantastic recipe for you today. It's a fantastic carrot cake muffins.
So what we're going to need for this is going to be some eggs, sugar, oil, orange zest, flour, and then the key ingredient of a carrot cake is the grated carrot and also some raisins. So the first thing that we're going to do is mix together our eggs and sugar. So no separating of the eggs for this one, they just go straight into the mixer here, so far easier for me to cope with.
Laura, if you don't have a mixer, can you use an electric hand mixer?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
an electric hand mixer will absolutely do the job for you. And then what we also need to do is pop the sugar in. Again, I've got the easier recipe, so all in at once. We don't need to...
How much sugar is that?
It is, sorry, I should have mentioned that for everybody. So it's 4 large eggs and then it's 260 grams of the caster sugar.
Excellent.
So we pop this onto whisk. Okay, and once we're happy that the eggs and sugar have mixed together, we're going to be adding our oil. So we've added in the oil, and next to go in there is going to be our vanilla and also the orange zest as well. So it says 4 teaspoons, that's around about 2 large oranges which have been zested into here. And then we also need a teaspoon of the vanilla extract. So Kev, again on this one, could alternatives be used instead of the extract?
Well, I guess you could really, like vanilla bean paste, or you could actually use a proper vanilla pod if you really wanted to. But anything, as long as you get that little hint of vanilla running through that recipe, it should be fine.
Fantastic. So again, we pop this onto whisk.
Is that sort of medium speed, is that?
Yeah, so you don't want to be doing it too fast. Things will tend to slosh around in your mixing bowl a little bit, and we want to avoid those kitchen disasters. So a medium sort of setting on your hand mixer will be absolutely fine.
Excellent.
So the next thing that we're going to need to be including here is our flour and also bicarbonate of soda.
Okay, so there's the flour. How much is that?
This one is 240 grams of plain flour.
Okay. And there's the bicarb.
Fantastic. And is it 2 teaspoons of this that needs to go in?
Yeah, 2 teaspoons.
Fantastic. Lovely. And then again, we just mix this. Oh, the cinnamon. I'm ever so sorry. We nearly forgot the cinnamon. So again, 2 teaspoons of the cinnamon need to go in. And again, back onto whisk. So because we've got all of that flour in there, what we don't want is the big puff. So we want to go for just a really slow setting to begin with. I've made that mistake far too many times and you end up just ruining your apron. And when it all looks nicely combined together, the next part to add in is going to be our grated carrots and raisins. Now, because these are quite chunky ingredients, I'm going to mix those in by hand using a spatula rather than troubling the whisk with trying to do that for us. So the next part to go in then is the grated carrots. So there's 450 grams of those and then 260 grams of the raisins. Fantastic. So like I say, I'm going to mix this in with a spatula only because it's a little bit too chunky to get with the whisk. It's also an opportunity to scrape down any flour that hasn't been caught into the mixture so far.
Laura, there's loads of carrot in that. Is that all going to cook down?
Yeah, it will do. So it'll it'll be delicious.
Excellent.
So once we've got everything combined in there, the next job is to pop that into the muffin cases. So
There you go.
the next part to do then is to pop the muffin mixture into the muffin cases. So for this, I use my favourite muffin filling spoon.
It looks like much like any other spoon, Laura.
It's a little bit deeper. It's a soup spoon, Kev. So the mixture can be quite wet and you'll see that things are sort of dropping off. Don't worry about that. That's how it's supposed to look. and then you're just going to fill each of those muffin cases. So it drips because it's got an oil base rather than a butter base, so if you were doing other sorts of cakes, it's not going to have this same consistency. So if you're a usual baker but you've not done a carrot cake before, don't panic when the mixture looks like this. So once all of the muffin cases have been filled, we need to pop those into the oven. So the oven needs to be at 180 degrees C or 160 if you've got a fan oven, and that's going to bake for between 20 to 25 minutes. You'll know when to bring them out. It'll be when a cake skewer comes out clean.
Fab.
Thanks, Kev.
Excellent. So whilst that's in the oven, let's tell you a little bit about us at Village Bakers. So Village Bakers is an LGBT social group where our members bake at home, bring their baked products along and share them with everyone within our group. If you want to know any more about Village Bakers, you can simply head to villagebakers.lgbt.
So you can also find us on social media. If you were to join our Facebook page, we'll be able to keep you up to date with when we're actually able to meet again in person. We look forward to seeing you. So once those have come out of the oven, you're able to start making the cream cheese frosting for them. You don't want to be putting this on too soon, so make sure those cakes are fully cooled down before we start. So what we need for the icing then is going to be cream cheese, butter and icing sugar, and then the zest of 1 orange. Kev, remind me of the quantities.
So that's 175 grams of cream cheese.
Yeah.
That's also 450 grams of the icing sugar.
Yeah.
125 grams of unsalted butter, and then a bit of orange zest in there from
Fantastic.
1 orange.
So we've got those in there, and we're going to add in the icing sugar. And again, we're going to use the hand whisk for this one, so on a slow setting again for the puff of sugar that's going to come up here, so nice and gently. So when that's all nicely combined, what we're going to do is get our piping bags. So once all of that is nicely mixed together like this, what we're going to do is get a piping bag, and we're going to be decorating the tops of our cooled cakes.
Excellent.
I always find it a challenge doing this job on my own, but it's a lot easier if you've got somebody who can hold the bag for you while you're doing it.
Yeah.
So just take the end off. No need to do any sort of fancy piping cutters or anything like that. It'll just be fine as it is.
Excellent.
So our cakes have now cooled. You need to make sure that yours have done the same, otherwise the icing is just going to melt as soon as you put them onto a warm cake.
Excellent. Shall I start piping?
Please do.
Okay. So we just take each cupcake, start in the centre, and then just pipe round in a circle, something like that. Cool. Thank you, Laura.
Fantastic. And then you can finish these off with some candied peel or a little jelly sweet or a little pride flag.
Excellent. So that's our fantastic carrot cake muffins. Thank you for baking along with the alternative Manchester Pride Festival.
And thanks again to our sponsor Co-op Food. Don't forget that there's a competition where you can win one of these beautiful aprons and vouchers for either 20, 40 or 80 pounds in value for the Co-op. In order to enter, all you need to do is post photos of your bakes along with the hashtag Manchester Pride 2020.